Fortinet. If you're an investor in the tech space, you have definitely heard of them. They are an absolute titan in cybersecurity. But what's really fascinating about them right now is this. They've had an incredible run of success, but they're facing a really critical test. And that's what we're going to dig into today. All right, so let's just get right to the heart of it. Here's the big question we're trying to answer. How can a company that is such a profit machine, truly a master of the game, how can they suddenly find themselves at a crossroads? The ground is literally shifting under their feet, and it's forcing them to make this huge bet on where they go next. Okay, so first things first, to really get what's going on, we have to look at how they got here. We'll look at their incredible success story and the big challenge that's staring them in the face right now. This is going to set the stage for everything else. There's no other way to put it. Fortinet is an absolute beast. This is a founder-led company, which is always interesting, right? They've been at it since 2000 and have built this massive empire. We're talking over 800,000 customers. When it comes to firewalls, they ship more than anyone. And their profit margins? Oh man, they are the envy of the entire industry. Seriously. But, and this is the big but, here's the problem. That core business, selling the physical hardware, the firewall boxes, it's just stalled out. It's hit a wall. After all those years of just fantastic growth, product revenue actually went down by 1% last year. Now, for a company like this, that's a huge deal because those hardware sales, they're the canary in the coal mine. They tell you what's coming next. And that stall, well, that's why we're talking about a critical turning point. So, okay, to really understand why that stall is so scary, we need to rewind a bit and see how they built this kingdom in the first place. Their strategy, it's been amazingly simple and effective for more than 20 years. The core of their entire playbook is something they call the security fabric. And the idea is actually brilliant in its simplicity. Think about it. Instead of having to buy, a dozen different security tools from a dozen different companies that just don't talk to each other, what a nightmare, Fortinet says, hey, we'll give you one platform where everything just works together. It all runs on a single operating system, FortiOS. It's just simpler, it's cleaner, and for customers, it's way more effective. And this right here, this chart shows you the genius of their business model. See that smaller slice? That's the product revenue, the hardware, but that's not the real prize. That's the hook. Every time they sell one of those boxes, it's a gateway to the much bigger, much more profitable prize, that huge slice of recurring service revenue. We're talking subscriptions, support, the really high margin stuff. It's like the classic razor and blades model. One feeds the other. So the big question is, how do they get people to buy the razor in the first place, right? Well, they have a secret weapon, their own custom-designed chips. These are called ASICs. Now, by making their own silicon, they can build appliances that are just flat out faster and more powerful than what their competitors can offer using off-the-shelf CPUs. And they can do it for less money. Better performance at a lower cost, that's the engine. That's how they've dominated the market on sheer volume. Okay, so that's how they built the fortress. But now, let's talk about the world outside the castle walls. We're going to look at the external pressures, the competition, because the whole cyber battlefield has just changed dramatically. You've got three massive tidal waves just reshaping everything. First, the old idea of a secure office, with a firewall at the door, it's gone. It's dead, thanks to the cloud and everyone working from home. Second, customers are just fed up with managing a zoo of different security products. They're screaming for platformization. They want fewer vendors, not more. And third, this is a big one, networking and security are merging together in the cloud. It's a trend called SASE, and it's all about bringing security to the user wherever they are, instead of making the user come to the security. And let me tell you, this is not a friendly neighborhood game. This is a battle of giants. Fortinet is staring down some absolute behemoths. You've got Cisco, the 800-pound gorilla of networking. And then you have their arch nemesis in security, Palo Alto Networks, which, by the way, has a much bigger market cap. It is an incredibly tough competitive arena. And this chart, this really brings that head-to-head fight to life. It's a fascinating story. Fortinet ships more boxes, right? They're the volume king. But look at the revenue. Palo Alto Networks actually makes more money. And what that tells you is that Palo Alto is really strong in that lucrative, high-end enterprise space, which is exactly the battleground where the future of this industry will be decided. So, you've got a stalling core business, you've got these huge competitors breathing down your neck. What do? Well, what Fortinet is doing is making a massive pivot, a huge strategic shift. And they're doing it by using their single greatest asset, all those customers they already have. The game plan is simple, really. Move beyond just selling the box. They're going all in on two of the hottest, fastest-growing areas in all of cybersecurity. The first is that unified SASE thing we talked about, securing people working from anywhere. The second is something called SecOps, or security operations. Think of this as the high-tech toolkit for elite security teams to hunt down and respond to threats.
And check this out. This pivot isn't just a plan on a PowerPoint slide. It's working. Let's start with SASE. It is already a billion-dollar business for them. I mean, over $1 billion in annual recurring revenue. And it's growing at more than 20% every year. That is some serious momentum. And that's not even the fastest growing part.
Nope, their SecOps business is growing even faster. We're talking 35% growth. And what that tells you is really, really important. It shows that customers are finally starting to see Fortinet as more than just a firewall company. They're buying into the whole platform, adopting these really advanced tools that are, by the way, very sticky. Once a customer starts using them, they're not likely to leave. And this is the kicker, especially if you're looking at this as an investor. The strategy is hitting home where it counts the most, with the big fish, the big enterprise customers. The total value of their deals, worth over $1 million, grew by more than 50%. That is huge. Winning those accounts is absolutely essential if you want to build a true platform company for the long haul. You know, Fortinet isn't just throwing darts at a board here. They have some real powerful advantages. Think about it. A lot of their competitors just bought a bunch of different companies and tried to Frankenstein a platform together. Fortinet built all of this stuff organically, from the ground up on that single FortiOS operating system. That means it just works better. And you can't forget their ace in the hole, those 800,000 plus customers. That is a massive, captive audience they can go and upsell all these new services to.
All right, let's step back and bring this all together. We've seen the powerhouse business they built, the massive challenge in front of them, and the huge pivot they're making. So what's the bottom line? If you're an investor looking at this stock, how do you weigh the potential reward against the very real risk?
This timeline right here tells such a clear story about Wall Street's expectations. Fortinet used to be a Wall Street darling, trading at a really high valuation, a PE multiple of around 55. But as that growth engine started to sputter, the market got nervous and derated the stock. Today, you're looking at a PE of around 31. So the billion-dollar question for an investor is this: is this the new normal for a slower company? Or is this a bargain price right before their big pivot kicks in and growth takes off again?
But let's be real, you have to go into this with your eyes wide open about the risks. And there are some big ones. That battle of the platforms we talked about, it is absolutely brutal. Executing this pivot into SaaS and SecOps, they have to get it perfectly right. There's no room for error. And what if that core firewall business slows down even more? That's a real possibility. Oh, and let's not forget, the whole show is run by its founders. They're brilliant, but that's always a risk if something were to happen to them.
So, this is it. It all boils down to this one core debate. The bull case, the optimistic view, is that they pull it off. They leverage that massive customer base, their integrated platform is a huge hit, they win big in SASE and SecOps, and the company gets back to growing fast. The bear case? It's the nightmare scenario. The old firewall business collapses faster than the new businesses can ramp up, and all the while, their tough competitors are just eating their lunch. So we'll leave you with this final thought. There is no question that Fortinet built an incredible fortress. They were masters of the first era of network security. But the challenge, and really the multi-billion-dollar question for anyone investing today, is whether that fortress they built for the old world can be extended to win a totally new kind of war, the sprawling, chaotic war for the cloud.